Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. Mac Jones is back in the news in New England. If you didn't hear, Joe Dickinson, his most trusted advisor, basically this guy has apparently coached Mac Jones since he was 11 years old. He appeared on Tommy Curran's Patriots Talk podcast via NBC Sports this week. I don't know why he agreed to this interview, but he did, and he provided some really shocking insight regarding Mac if you look back the last 3 seasons and certainly look back on his rookie year. Now, overall, I think it should be noted that Dickinson is in the Mac Jones camp, right? And he offered plenty of reasons and excuses why Mac was set up for failure in New England. Stated the obvious, 3 offensive coordinators in 3 seasons, his lack of weapons throughout Mac's tenure here, having the banged up offensive line this past season and the season before that led to many hits and ultimately hampered his confidence. And of course, the waning communicative relationship Mac Jones has had with Bill Belichick, certainly over the last couple of years. Well, Dickinson went on to say, after the first season, I saw that it was really good for Mac, and I saw that his coach, Josh McDaniels, was leaving, and I advised Mac and his agent to go and ask for a trade. I just said, hey, I just think it would be better for you and the Patriots if they trade you. I felt like, hey, if you really want this guy to work, you're going to get some guys around him. He added, you're going to put the right guys around him, helping him. And if you don't, this is really easy. Just trade him, get another guy, because that's allowed and that's within the rules. Now, this would have been a wild scenario 2 seasons ago. Most people were very happy with Mac Jones. We felt like we had our QB of the future in New England, and there's no way the Patriots would have wanted to trade him. Not to mention Mac didn't really want to be traded either, right? I mean, he's coming off of a very strong rookie season, and he's a company guy, right? Like, he's still to this day, despite all the criticism, is showing up for work. He's at Gillette Stadium, hitting the weight room every day. He's under contract. He knows that. He was at Gerard Mayo's introductory press conference. Mac is still putting in the work, and he's always put in the work, right? Like, he's kind of followed the Brady prototype, at least in terms of his brain. He's high IQ, comes early, stays late, and, really does what you want from a young quarterback. Now, in hindsight, that would have been great, knowing what we know now, right? If they had traded Mac Jones, he was considered the best rookie in his class at the time after his rookie season, even better than Trevor Lawrence, who really struggled in Jacksonville his first year. They could have potentially gotten a first-round pick. What did they draft Mac? Like 15th, 14th overall or something? Like, after coming off of a great rookie year where people said this was the best QB, maybe you could have gotten a top 10 pick for all we know, because Mac Jones was seen as a good, young, smart, pocket-passing quarterback and ready for the NFL. And he looked so poised and confident his rookie season almost immediately, right? Like, we really forget that. Mac Jones looked very good and looked as if he was the heir apparent to Tom Brady. Not Tom Brady, certainly didn't have the arm of Brady, but Brady didn't have much of an arm when he entered the NFL either. And he certainly built up the arm strength over time and worked toward it, while Mac just kind of regressed the last couple of seasons. But hey, Dickinson is right, though. I mean, Mac, a QB like that, needs weapons, and he needs protection. Hell, Tom Brady needed weapons and protection. He had a lot more pretty much every season of his in New England. Yeah, there were some years he didn't have the best offensive line, but when he did, he had incredible weapons. He had Randy Moss. He had Wes Welker. And Mac didn't have the line or the weapons, certainly the last couple of seasons. And they lost Jacoby Myers, who was his bread and butter slot receiver. And yeah, Demario Douglas did a pretty good job there this past season. He's going to be the slot guy of the future for sure. I'm very happy with him. But, with all the guys out there, Jalen Reagor, Devontae Parker, who's just old and slow and can't separate, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's not very good anymore and can't stay healthy. I mean, Mac really did not have a lot to work with. And his offensive line was banged up. He had 2 rookie guards, I believe, starting his first game of the season. And Mac actually looked pretty good against the Eagles. Go back and watch the highlights. His footwork was solid. He was getting throws off despite facing a lot of pressure, wasn't sacked too much, and really it just, as the season piled on, he got hit more and more, and the frustrations mounted. That really hurt his confidence and ultimately led to that really awful interception in Indianapolis, or in Germany against Indianapolis, where we all said, all right, this guy doesn't have it anymore. He was good as a rookie, but he's kind of a mental case right now. We got to move on. Eventually, a couple weeks later, they moved on to Bailey Zappi. Now, I still really like Mac Jones, and, there are reports that came out today saying the Patriots will try to trade him this offseason. You're not going to get a lot for him, maybe a 6th, maybe a 7th rounder, maybe you get some practice squad guys. I don't know. Honestly, I hope the Patriots keep him, and hear me out. It's not just because he's on a cheap contract still. We found out they're not picking up his 5th-year option. Not a surprise. That's going to cost you $20+ million. They're not going to do that, obviously. But he's still on a fairly cheap rookie contract entering his final year of that 4-year contract. But look, you keep Mac Jones around. He is a very solid training camp quarterback, right? Like when they have the red jerseys on, when he doesn't have to worry about getting hit, when he can have those discussions with his coaches in the QB room, whomever they select at quarterback in the draft, whether it's Drake May or Jaden Daniels at 3rd overall, or they trade up for Caleb Williams, or they draft Marvin Harrison and decide to get a McCarthy or a Penix or one of those guys in the 2nd or 3rd round, or maybe they go into free agency, maybe they take a stab at Kirk Cousins. Regardless of who that next anticipated starting quarterback is, I still think it makes sense to have Mac Jones in that locker room. Yes, I know there may be some morale issues, but you got a new regime there in Jerod Mayo. Likely he would have a much better relationship with Mac Jones than Bill Belichick did, just because Mayo is a more charismatic communicator and is going to understand a little better than Belichick how each guy needs to communicate and how to get the best out of them, at least in terms of, dealing with young players in the NFL today. But Mac really can lead by example there, I think. Even if he's not taking the first team reps, even if you still think Bailey Zappi should be the number 2 guy, having Mac, a guy who's going to have a high football IQ, is going to know how to stand in the pocket, go through the progression, especially if you're bringing in a young quarterback like Drake May or Jaden Daniels, who that really is their weakness, is standing in there and going through the progression and making the correct read. That's the biggest hurdle for any young quarterback entering the NFL. It's going to be nice to have Mac Jones there, even if he doesn't have the velocity on the football that you would like to see, because when he's in the red jersey and he's not taking hits, he's going to play pretty well in training camp, and he's at least going to spark a little bit of a QB competition, even if you really don't believe he should be the starter going forward. I think it makes a lot of sense just to keep him around. And who knows? If the next starter goes down and you have Mac as the number 2, not Bailey, Mac Jones with a full offseason to regroup and correct his mistakes, going into the game with nothing to lose and hopefully a new set of weapons under the Jerod Mayo regime, he might be able to play very well. You never know. I think so much of this is confidence, it's expectations, it's mental toughness, and Mac certainly has built a lot of calluses over the last 2 seasons with those 2 very weak Patriots offenses. And if they improve and put some personnel around their next quarterback and the next starter goes down and you see Mac Jones come into the game, nobody's expecting him to be rookie Mac Jones or be the heir apparent to Tom Brady again. And maybe that's the best scenario for him, right? Then he can go in and play like he has nothing to lose, and we'd actually see the old Mac Jones come back. I'd like to see it, but I think it makes a lot of sense to keep him around if you don't think he's going to be damaging being in the locker room, which I don't. I think he leads by example. I think he's a smart quarterback, and he's going to know the X's and O's. He's going to know the progression. He's going to know exactly what the quarterback needs to do on each play. He's always been good pre-snap, knowing how to read the defenses, call the correct audibles. For a young quarterback coming in that's going to be the QB of the future in New England, it's going to be good for them to see that and understand, okay, this is what an NFL quarterback needs to know. These are where my weaknesses is. Yes, I have the physical gifts that Mac Jones doesn't have. I will probably be the starting quarterback, but there's a lot to learn from this guy. I hope he sticks around, and I'm rooting for Mac Jones. So not a lot of news coming out of the offensive coordinator search. As I mentioned yesterday, DeMarcus Covington was named the defensive coordinator. I think that was pretty obvious heading into the offseason that he would get that job. Certainly earned it this past season, but no news on whether Josh McDaniels will be interviewing with the Patriots. As of right now, there just does not seem to be any interest in bringing McDaniels to New England. All the guys that Gerard Mayo is bringing in to interview for the offensive coordinator role, they're all Kyle Shanahan guys or Kyle Shanahan adjacent. These are people who are going to really try to modernize and simplify the offense for whomever the next starting quarterback is. We'll be here at Pat's Cast along the way. Look, just because I'm dressed this way doesn't mean I'm asking you for money or expecting you to go fight Russia. However, I do want you to like this video and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. And we'll be back tomorrow with more Patriots coverage, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more news about the offensive coordinator situation.